People often think that disrespect is what breaks down relationships. And I mean relationships of all dynamics, whether it's platonic relationships, romantic relationships, or even professional relationships. Now, while disrespect is very destructive, the real erosion of self respect often begins in a far more subtle place, and that is fondness. Well, fondness is very soft, fondness is warm. It makes you feel seen, it makes you feel desired and even wanted. But when it is left unchecked, it becomes a loophole, you know, a spiritual blind spot where we start justifying things that we would never tolerate if we were not emotionally attached. Huh? Fondness blurs lines. You start saying, oh, they didn't mean it that way. It's just this one time. Love is about compromise, right? Yeah. And just like that, you begin to bend. Not because you're weak, but because you're emotionally invested. Huh? Fondness encourages compromise even when it costs you. When you care deeply for someone, you often start shrinking your boundaries to avoid tension. You start silencing your truth to keep the peace. Hmm? You start accepting breadcrumbs and calling it connection. Why? Because you don't want to lose the bond. Because you don't want to seem difficult. Hmm? You fear the cost of asserting yourself. Imagine that. But here's the reality. Every time you compromise your values in the name of connection, you're teaching yourself that their comfort means more than your dignity. Huh? Fondness without boundaries, you now start letting things slide, not out of forgiveness, but out of fear of losing them. You'll be like, it's okay, when your gut knows it's not. You overgive, you overextend, and even you over accommodate, hoping that they will notice and reciprocate. And over time, you realize you are still in the relationship, but you're no longer in yourself. Because fondness made you too soft with someone who didn't deserve your softness at that depth. You know, True connection requires mutual respect, not just emotional affection. But when fondness overrides your standards, you now become emotionally loyal to someone who is not loyal to you. And respect doesn't survive in that environment. Not their respect for you, not your respect for them, not even your respect for yourself. Huh? Connection should never cost you your center. Fondness is a gift, but it must be grounded in truth. It must be grounded in boundaries and even self-respect. You know, if you have to lose yourself to keep someone, if you have to ignore your needs to keep the peace, if you have to silence your voice to preserve the bond, then what you're calling connection is just emotional captivity. Real connection doesn't ask you to betray yourself. It strengthens your sense of self. So love deeply, yes. Be fond, yes. But never so much that you forget your highest loyalty is to your alignment. My people, heal. Heal.